Welcome to this week's edition of The Passion of the Digital Artist. And here he is, your favorite passionate TraDigital artist and mine, Jeff Mueller.
Yes, way to go, Xavier.
Hey, way to go, Jeff. How you doing?
Good, how are you tonight?
I am just fine.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yes, welcome everyone.
It's been a couple weeks since we video blogged, and not a whole heck of a lot has happened. Just I was part of a local show, Halloween show. It started. It was this last Friday was the opening, and I entered in a bunch of pieces. And tonight I wanted to talk about what direction I can go as a digital artist. What makes me TraDigital is that I can take a painting such as this painting right here, which is, if everybody can see, this is Evening Tide. And the way that and I want to be very specific here on what I do. Initially, if you look at it close up, I create a painting in the computer. You can see every aspect of this particular image is painted with computer brush strokes. I use a Wacom tablet with a digital pen. In the same way with Photoshop, I use it in Photoshop, and what you use is brushes. And I'm gonna do this really quick to give a quick demonstration. You've got your little brush palette right here, and right now I will get into brush, and I'm just gonna illustrate how it works. You can't see them, but they're little brushes, and each brush has a specific shape. If you look at this brush is rounded. This brush, when wet, has a nice pointy tip. In Photoshop, the brushes mimic these actual brushes. So when I pick a brush with a rounded tip, and I'm about to do that, that's the rounded one, and I use it about that size. Now you can use it, you could actually paint with your mouse, but that's not how I do it. I paint with my digital paintbrush. I actually buy a special one. You can't really see this, but this tip, compared to this tip, this is a plastic hard tip. This is a felt tip. It actually has the shape of a brush so that you can get the feel. So it's trying to mimic what actual brush strokes are. So if I take this, and I'm just going to pick out a color from my color palette over here, and I'm going to pick out, let's just say, a bright red. And as you come in, it's a little bit large, but to illustrate this, you can see how one can paint. Now usually, if we're getting down to this, my brush strokes are about this size, and I'm just going over brushes. So what I'm doing is I usually am referencing a photograph over here and mimicking the colors, and in some cases picking the colors. But for instance, you're basically brushing. Now at this point, I'm like at 84%. I'm going to just show you can. So as I go about doing this, and I usually do it in a layer, so in different layers. Like if I'm working on this particular shadow part of the mountain, you can see where the red is going over. But that's how I paint. I actually am. A main difference is when I'm mixing colors. When you mix colors you don't get them all over you. It's not a messy process. And if I'm using a photograph, in some cases, when I'm working on the areas in the areas, if I want to get a color just right based off the photograph, I can grab that color off the photograph and then use it for the painting.
It's also really nice if you want to take it back off. It goes a little bit easier than doing it from canvas, right?
Right. Oh no, the mistake, if you make a mistake in the computer, or you're not happy with what you're doing, when you go back to fix that, it's not like what would happen on a canvas where it would start to get a little bit muddy. So you're not as it's not as critical as when you're painting traditionally. Now, once I do that, as a digital artist, and what everybody is really as digital artists, what the hardest thing for a digital artist is to understand how to get their image printed out. And this is a digital print on canvas of Evening Tide. Now, with this digital print, I produce canvases at a place called Simply Canvas. The reason why I go there, if you look at it, look at the craftsmanship of this. The wood is beautiful, thick, heavy duty, long-term craftsmanship. When I'm producing my paintings or my canvas prints, I want them to last. The inks they use are 100-year archival. That means for 100 years, they will stay and hold out of sunlight. They will hold their brightness. That's what they guarantee. Acrylic paints themselves, after 100 years, stop to lose. So the inks are every bit as permanent as the paints that I use. Now, when I print out something like this, and I can illustrate this, if you look what's happening in the detail of the shadow, this is my digital print. And if I print it out, it's a nice shadow, but what's happening is the translation between the inks. I really feel that the really nice blues and everything were right on. And that maybe a little bit of the white was not as bright as I wanted it to be. And then the lighthouse is a little bit darker. And if you look at, so what I would do on my actual acrylic painting is I would then reference what was happening in here. And if you look at these bright, beautiful colors, what I did on my actual acrylic painting is I went through and pretty much painted from here to here, almost repaint, pulling these intense bright colors out. Now, what was happening in here with these people, I was completely and totally happy, so I didn't touch it. But I then went into this part of the lighthouse to bring out the white to more match what was going on my digital paint. That's the reason why I'm a TraDigital artist, because when you do something like this, you're going to get it really nice in some areas, but some areas aren't going to work because the inks are not backlit colors being projected on a screen. This is actually inks printed onto paper. So the reason why I'm going to do the acrylic is I'm going to get the best of both worlds when you're doing prints. Now, another thing is that I understand the colors on this printing process. After doing about 30 paintings onto canvas this specific way, I've started to understand that, like something like this with the shadows, it's going to be lacking. So in some cases, I don't put the amount of detail as I did in Evening Tide. I leave it a little bit less, and then I just paint it in. So that kind of tells you what and how, from where you become a digital, and then you print it out on the canvas, and then the conversion to TraDigital. So that's one thing you can do as far as canvases. Now, what I've been doing lately, which is totally and completely cool, is the same thing, but this right here is a metallic print. Now, metallic prints, I get my metallic prints printed at Frimage Image. If you go to frimageimage.com, they sell metallic prints. They're gorgeous. I mean, this is something that makes most digital artists exciting. Now, you're not going to be a TraDigital artist doing this, but you for sure will be. This is something that digital artists, where they can print out in limited quantities there, or even in quantities of one, to make it, this is their long-term canvas. It's on actually a piece of metal, and it's fused to the metal so that it's become one through a dye sub process. So the quality of this is much better than any kind of print that you can do. It's just gorgeous, and I'm sure you'll agree. Now, when I'm printing for this particular image, and I printed this out, and I was happy, but initially when I painted in the original canvas and the digital image, I had made this area with the blues dark so that I could paint it into the canvas. Now, if I was going to have this be my one and only printout, I would have lightened up the blues so they would have popped out. But because my canvas and this area is dark, but the one-of-a-kind canvas, this area, all the blues have been painted in. That's the TraDigital part of what I do. And then when I print out prints, I print out the prints off the digital. Now the blue's in there enough for me for the digital imagery, but I want my original canvases, you know, where I'm painting in the colors, I want those to be special. So that's where we are this week. I just wanted to cover that. As far as what makes me a TraDigital artist, what makes, you know, exciting things for digital artists as far as output, and then what it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, this was not a feasible option. It was just way too expensive. Now, with the prices and the way things have gone and the technology, not only are the canvases better than when I first started, because the inks just keep getting better and better, but you've added in this metal print aspect, which it becomes more and more available, which makes everything it just changes it for the digital artist to be able to produce something so gorgeous and then sell it in limited quantities, where a lot of times I know a lot of digital artists, they don't know exactly how they want to output it or even how to output it. So this is something that I just wanted to cover and give all the digital artists and all the people who don't quite understand how you would purchase somebody's digital art. This is 2 options on how to do it.
Excellent.
All right. So I hope that covers it for this week.
I think that's about a wrap.
Anything?
Other than, yeah, just congratulations, San Francisco Giants.
Yes.
3 World Series in 5 years. I think that makes them a dynasty.
Yeah, I would say Bumgarner is a dynasty in his own way. So after what he did, 2.5 games, 2 wins and a save, but that save was more his win than it was anything else. So
yeah, a pretty awesome performance.
Other than that, I'm in a bye week. Although congratulations to Cleveland going to 5-3. It's rare around these parts, correct?
It sure is. Congratulations to them. And LeBron's back. The opening was a little lackluster, but that was the first time a team with new players and new coach played together. They had to get it together. Then they went to Chicago and played like a team, took care of business.
Yep.
So we got some good things happening in Cleveland sports this year.
Yeah, here in Ohio it's getting kind of exciting, which usually around this time of year you're all into basketball already, but the football is covering it. So.
Yeah, if not saying, well, there's always the tribe in the spring. It's been a rough tenure as of late, Alex, but have a good week, everyone.